Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast, the web's number one source for information on the Boston Red Sox from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Worcester, across the Pike to Fenway, and all stops in between. Thank you for listening. I'm Chris Hatfield. That's Ian Kundle. It is the time of year where we need to tell you we are recording this on Saturday, the 26th, at about 1:30, because hot stove season is in full swing. Ian, the trade deadline is coming up. The Red Sox look like they might be buyers, so we've got a lot to talk about to preview the trade deadline. It's an exciting time of year.
It is. Who knows? Maybe Craig will gift us with a trade to discuss live on the podcast that happens in the next hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that time of year where every Jeff Passan notification, your heart kind of like jumps a little bit. It's like, what could it be? And we've had a couple interesting trades already that I think we'll talk about that were tangentially related to the Red Sox, and they're in a weird spot. You know, they obviously had that gauntlet schedule coming out of the break. They're 2-5 right now, I believe.
Coming up, yeah, because they went 1-2 for two series.
And they lost last night. The bats not making a lot of noise right now. Sure. So they're in a weird spot where they're still in a playoff spot. You got to buy, but at the same time, the kind of the issues that we've been seeing and kind of like went away for a couple weeks have started to crop back up.
Yeah. And you know, so we've got a lot to talk about there with what the Red Sox are going to do. I think we can agree at this point that they are buying. They have messaged so loudly and clearly that they are buying. And look, they are, as of today, in a playoff spot.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the tricky thing is like buying and selling is probably the right thing to do, but I don't think you can do that with the fan base and owner. I don't think ownership would be okay with that at this juncture, for the reasons you said.
Yeah,
it's like they do have some rentals that I think you could kind of do what the Tigers did last year and sell, but still end up in the playoffs because you have good talent on the team. Yeah. But I just don't think that would go over very well with the fan base if they traded some of their key contributors to try and recoup some of the value that they've lost over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Marcelo Mayer getting hurt again. Wrist injury, right wrist sprain, goes on the IL, allows David Hamilton to come back up to the majors. We'll talk about that and the repercussions that has on the trade deadline, plus the end of the FCL season, and, of course, your emails. You can email us at podcast@soxprospects.com. Hit us up. We want to talk about what you all want to hear about, but some other initial matters to get out of the way. Spread the word about the podcast. That's the best way you can support a show like ours. Tell a friend about the show. Tell the guy who, when talking on his extremely popular podcast, comments about how you always say, although I guess he already knows about the show in that case. But you could tell the people who ask about it, about the podcast. You can also help by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, wherever it is you listen. And of course, you can support the show with the cash monies. The Sox Prospects donation drive is about to end. We end on August the 1st. We are getting very close to a number that we're hitting a stretch goal at this point. So you can help us get there. It's the final week. You can support the show one of two ways. You can support us on patreon.com/SoxProspects and get some neat perks for your support of the show. And you can support us at soxprospects.com/donate to make a one-time contribution to the website. It's a great time to contribute if you haven't contributed before. If you have already contributed in the past, we appreciate it. And we'd love it if you could do it again to help us handle firsthand coverage, travel costs, as well as background IT costs for hardware, software, hosting fees, etc. We appreciate everyone who has supported so far. And by the way, special shout out to Steven, our newest $5 level Patreon supporter. Not the Steven that joined last time. This guy just went by Steven, no last name, which I respect. So, but thank you to everyone who's contributed so far. If you haven't yet, you got a few more days to get your support in. So we appreciate it. We would appreciate if you could support us either on Patreon or soxprospects.com/donate. Ian, all that out of the way. Maybe let's start with Meyer because that transitions into the trade deadline stuff generally. But I think there's some kind of initial matter related to Meyer and the injury that I kind of think also needs to be said. Meyer, by the way, I forgot how it even happened, but he's got a right wrist sprain.
He said if he felt it pull on a swing, which not a good thing to hear.
Not a good thing to hear. And look, I mean, it brings back up that one of Meyer's bugaboos his entire time in the minors was injuries. So, look, injuries will still happen to anybody. I will be keeping a very close eye on how long this keeps him out. If it's something that winds up being a 2 week thing, I mean, we'll see what the imaging says when it comes back. He's got the splint on. It doesn't look great, but, is what it is. Better that they stabilize it. But I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on how long this keeps him out because, look, you're in the majors now. Rehabbing an injury is work. It's not just sitting and resting. There's rehab involved. Very interested in seeing how that process goes for him, what his timeline looks like when they announce a timeline, and seeing when he can get back. Because look, he has become a key part of this team, even if it's not necessarily, a key contributor at the plate. The way he's been able to stabilize third base and now moving over to second base without a beat has been crucial for a team that has struggled defensively all year.
Yeah, it's really tough timing. The Red Sox, as you said, he turned into someone they were really counting on, even if at the plate he hadn't been doing much.
Yeah.
But in the field, he'd look great. And now it's just, especially with Alex Bregman still kind of limited, it really decreases their flexibility to do things like pinch run for Bregman. Because right now, the backup third baseman, I think, is Abraham Toro, I would guess.
I think so, yeah.
Because Hamilton can't play third.
It's either Toro or Romy.
But Romy, I don't think he's played third this year, has he?
No, but they're being weird about,
but it's just, because one of those guys is going to be playing second unless they're going to do what they've been doing, which I guess is now Rafael is playing second. But yeah, it takes away a lot of the flexibility because Meyer was able to fill in at second, short, third, wherever. He could just play anywhere on the infield. Romy
he's played twice this year, including one start. Last year, he had 8 starts, including in 14 games at third. But they were playing him at short last year. The Romy thing this year, it's odd the way they're using him as compared to Toro.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
But yeah, I think with the Meyer thing, the thing that concerns me the most is what you said is the injury history. He's actually had a wrist sprain with his right wrist back in 2022, and he missed basically just over a month between April and May of 2022. So this is an injury I don't know, obviously we don't know if it's the same injury, but he's had wrist injuries before. And if you look at his minor league track record, it's hard to say if he's a slow recoverer or if it's the Red Sox being overly cautious. But I think this is the first litmus test for which one of those things it probably is.
Because they do that, to be fair to him. They will hold a star prospect out longer than they will hold just standard sort of fine for the level guy who hits eighth.
Exactly, which is why I don't want to label him as a slow recoverer because we don't know. But this is the first time he's had an injury at the major league level, and so now we're going to kind of see what goes on here. If you told me he was back in 2 weeks, I would believe. If you told me he didn't play again this season, I could see that. I think that's just as likely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think that his injury, what it does do is it kind of solves any sort of logjam they had. Ironically, just kicking the can down the road. Eventually, it worked itself out, and I don't love playing Ceddanne Rafaela at second base every day, but it seems like that's basically going to be what the new plan is. And that way you can get all the outfield bats in the lineup. So it's basically Anthony, Duran, and Abreu are probably going to play every day now. And you're going to have Ref Snyder and Yoshida platoon at DH, and then Romy and Toro platoon at first base. So it's solved any issues they had with the outfield situation, but it also, I don't know. It's put in a weird spot because they called up Hamilton, and I don't really, if they're playing Rafael every day, I guess Hamilton will just be like a defensive replacement.
He's just the backup. He's a bench player now. If he gets to a point where you're the guy who gets squeezed off the roster if everyone's healthy,
yeah,
you're not a guy who comes up that I'm giving every day at bats to. That's just not how it's working.
So yeah, because I would guess we'll see maybe late in games they put Rafaela back in center and Hamilton in a second defensively, or Hamilton could be used as a pitcher.
But what are you doing then? Who are you taking?
Well,
that's
the thing that's weird. It's problem. Not. It only really works, I guess, against lefties because if you have Ref Snyder, but against lefties they probably play Hamilton. They probably play Romy at yeah. So
because here's the thing the regular lineup, quote unquote, is now Anthony, Duran, Abreu in the outfield with Rafaela at second.
Yeah.
If you wanted to push Rafaela back to the outfield, you need to take one of those three out.
Well,
Like
but
you
that's
can't
why I
keep
think
them in the game.
but that's why I think you might see it against lefties when they're not in the game. Like
So against lefties, you're probably starting. I mean, I know you said platooning Ref Snyder and Yoshida at DH, but
but
I
it's
think the way
probably
it probably works out is Abreu and or Duran.
well, I think it's Abreu, Durant, or Yoshida. One of those three will sit for Ref Snyder, and it'll
Yeah.
vary probably.
And actually, it
That
probably works better if it's Duran because then you just plug and play Rafaela back to center and Hamilton at second.
well, but against lefties, you don't want Hamilton playing against lefties. You can't hit
God, that's
lefties,
right.
so that's why Romy probably plays second against lefties.
Yeah, which you forget he does because they're not playing him there this year for
Yeah,
some reason.
so that's why. But that's where, and then Rafael's already in center. So I don't know. It's an interesting roster now. As we said, it worked out. It kind of worked out itself out with the outfield thing. Roman Anthony's playing every day now. He's not DHing, which is good. That's definitely a win.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think the one other thing I wanted to mention was I saw a lot of people were kind of upset or saying
same.
that Vaughn Grissom deserved a chance.
Oh, okay. That wasn't where I was going, but please, go for it.
I think actions speak louder than words in this situation where
Yeah.
it's like if they had any plans for Vaughn Grissom, he would have gotten a shot by now, given this trouble they've had at second. And the fact that they went to Meyer initially when the Bregman injury happened, and then now they're going to David Hamilton, I think it tells you everything you need to know about Vaughn Grissom. Like, this is not someone that's in their plans. And I don't think it really matters how well he's hitting because it's just he's not the profile of player that they're looking for at second base.
And look, if there was a major league team that thought Vaughn Grissom deserved a shot to be an everyday player, Vaughn Grissom would not still be in Worcester.
Yeah.
He would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah. He's not someone people are banging down the doors to trade for either. So I think they're not, I saw some people saying like he deserves a shot, or if they're not going to call him up, they should, they should find a team that will. I'm not sure there's that team. So it's just, I understand.
They would have they would love to get that 40-man roster spot back.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. The 40-man roster spot is way more valuable than Vaughn Grissom is as a player right now. And it's unfortunate.
The only reason he hasn't been designated for assignment is they haven't needed to go that deep into the DFA list because of the guys they could put on the 60-day.
Exactly. So it's like, I understand he's putting up really good numbers, but it just might be what he is. Like, he might just be a 4A player.
I mean, think about every time they sent Bobby Dahlbeck back down to AAA, he raked.
Yeah.
And we all agree that Bobby Dahlbeck's not a MLB hitter at this point, right?
Well, and I think the reason why he doesn't really fit is he doesn't hit, he has a reverse platoon splits, so he doesn't hit lefties like that well. So you can't bring him up to be like,
strong
strong
or weak
side.
Yeah.
But chase rate's still high, and the biggest issue is he just can't hit velocity. It's a sub 500 OPS against fastballs 94 plus. And you saw this team, what happened with this team against good pitching the last couple of days. Grissom would just get eaten alive by good pitching. And that's why he's not up is, I don't think he doesn't solve anything, and he doesn't bring any, like, Hamilton is more versatile and better defensively and brings speed off the bench.
Wow.
So
I mean, Grissom is the prototype of guy we talk about that is feasting. And like, look, a guy hitting bad pitches a mile is a good thing. That's what you're supposed to do. But like OPS over 1,000 on fastballs below 92, sub 500 OPS against fastballs 94 plus. I mean, that's stark.
Yeah.
It's stark.
So it's like, and it comes with, he's got a high ground ball rate. Like, I don't and a low fly ball rate. I just don't think it's the type of profile that's going to translate against major league pitching, especially. And as we're seeing,
and they know that.
Yeah. The Red Sox know that, but it's also, this is like, who would you, David Hamilton's not really going to be playing every day, as we just kind of talked about. So it's like, he's just not a fit in a bench role. So
Hamilton has skills that make him valuable in the role he will be filling. He is the fastest guy on the team. It gives you a pinch runner now, and he's fine defensively at second. He can fake it at short.
Yeah.
They're playing, it's weird. They're playing Grissom a ton at shortstop, I think, to try and salvage some kind of value that he can like fake it there. It's a little weird, but
but they don't really have anyone they have to play at short in AAA right now.
They don't, but it's like, then just play Sogard there. Like, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of you need someone to play at short when Sogard is elsewhere. And they've been playing like Nate Eaton a bunch at short. Nate Eaton's not a shortstop, right? Like,
yeah, but Nate Eaton's probably a more valuable bench piece than Vaughn Grissom is.
Yeah, which
like,
is why
if you told me you had to DFA one of them to create a spot on DFA and Grissom over Nate Eaton,
no question. Yeah, no question. Because Grissom can be a valuable up and down guy.
No, Nate Eaton, you mean Ken?
Eden, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah.
So I
Now,
mean, it's hard. It's just, yeah, actions speak louder than words in these circumstances. Like there's a reason he has not been up all year, and I would be shocked if he's on the 40-man roster by the end of the offseason.
that sounds right. That yeah. I can't I'd be very surprised if he's on the 40 man entering next year. Is how I would kind of look at it with
Actually, here
Rizzo.
I'll go. I would be shocked if he's on the 40-man. That's the Rule 5 deadline
There you go.
because
There you
they're
go.
gonna they
They
we'll
might they're
we'll
gonna
get to it after the.
yeah.
Maybe we talk about it a little bit today, but
Maybe we should talk
yeah,
about it today. We
but
hadn't thought about that. I'm gonna add it to the list.
that's going to be something that I think we see some trades from that group, kind of like what they did last year, and even with trades, there's still a few. They're going to have some tough choices, and I think the 40-man spot will be more valuable.
I think that's right.
What was the thing you thought I was going to say?
Oh, the part about not playing Rafaela in center field that a lot of people, including some that we're friends with, are like very upset about. I get that argument. But the fact is, the way to get your 9 best players in the lineup on a given night right now is to play Rafaela at second base. I get that he's a platinum glover in center field. I get that. Ideally, you are playing him in center field. And this is why, we've been saying you needed a better plan for Roman Anthony coming up than he's the depth when someone gets hurt. Like, the point I was making before we started recording of like, if a guy's going to come up and be hitting third, fourth, or fifth for you the minute he comes up, that's not a guy you keep in AAA as injury depth. That's a guy you make room for on the roster.
No, it's probably a guy who should have been on the open day roster.
Well, sure, fair point. But while I understand like Rafaela needs to be in center, like I think we all agree they have 4 outfielders who probably they want playing every day. You've now got a hole at second base where you don't have anyone else that you want playing every day. That's how you get Rafael into the lineup where until very recently, and maybe we can mention this because we were talking a little bit about this before we recorded, and I don't think we actually got to this. Rafaela had been one of your better hitters during this hot stretch. He's been a guy that you've been relying on offensively, so it's not like he's a guy who earlier in the year when, like, for example, I was saying keep him in center. The reason I was saying keep him in center is because his only value was defensively. Now that he is giving you value on offense, that's a reason to put him at second. That said, he's been a little worse recently, so...
But this is the thing with Rafaela is I feel like just you can't ride the waves. You just got to look back at the end of the season and like that's what you're going to get because as you said, like since the break, he's been bad. His at bats have I think really regressed. He's 6 for 27. All hits are singles. He's got 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, so 222 batting average, 250 OBP, 222 slug. But it's just he's chasing like a ton. It's just very poor at bats, I would say. And I think even like Lou called it out on the broadcast. Because he had an at bat, I want to say it was late in the game yesterday, where it was just like, what are we doing here? Like you can't be chasing that pitch. You're chasing pitcher's pitch and just getting yourself out. And so that's what Rafaela is. Like there's gonna be good stretches, there's gonna be bad stretches on offense. But I don't know. To me, I think that having him in center, I understand like the defensive value there, especially with Duran's defense being really weird this year. Rafaela just brings a different element there. And like I think I'd rather see them go out and acquire a second baseman, trade Jarren Duran, and keep Rafaela in center. I just think that that's the best path forward. Rather than like I understand they're trying to make the pegs fit right now, but maybe are we sure the best strategy isn't removing one of the pegs and getting an upgrade somewhere else and then acquiring someone new for second base? Because seeing the costs that these first 2 position players have went for, I don't think it would be that prohibitive to go out and find like a solid second baseman rental for until Meyer's back.
I mean, and is anyone out there that we know that
that's what I was just about to look.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just about to look.
Because I'm looking, let's see, trade deadline big board. I think this is the old one though.
Yeah, just I think the MLB one or the passing one. Let's see. Because that is the thing I haven't really investigated second base. I know like I'm pretty sure the Padres would be open to trading like Jake Cronenworth, but I think he's not a rental. I think there's multiple years and I don't think he's that good. But yeah, I think that I don't know. To me, I would just rather that than try to fit the square peg into the round hole situation, which they kind of are doing right now.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe while we try and find the second base fit, the point I would make, I think there's something about the Duran thing. And look, I think, as we've said all along, you don't need to solve the four outfielders problem at the trade deadline. The reason you do at the trade deadline is that that is by far your best trade chip. Jarren Duran or Abreu or whatever is by far your best trade chip if we're assuming the big three are off the table and probably Peyton Tolley. Not that there's no trade where you wouldn't trade. Not that Tolley is completely untouchable, but it's just for what's available at the deadline. He's not a tradable asset, which I agree with.
Yeah.
After that, your best trade chip is Jarren Duran, and it's not close to me because I think he's a lot more attractive of a trade chip than a Franklin Arias, a Jostinson Garcia, any of the other pitchers. It's leaps and bounds, and then Abreu as well up there too. But I think they would just probably prefer to keep Abreu, especially because the right field fit.
Yeah, I agree.
But to me, you only do that if you are getting back the controllable starting pitcher. You're not doing that for the Ryan O'Hearn deal, right? You're not doing that for the like, even if it's a really good one, but you're not doing that for a rental relief pitcher. Even a rental starting pitcher are not doing that.
Sean McAdam reported that they turned down Dylan Cease and Ethan Salas for Jarren Duran, which
can you talk about Salas, please? Like,
I don't think he can hit at all. I had talked to a few people yesterday, and that was kind of the sentiment is his bat is just not good. And he's someone who I know he's a big name. He obviously, I think he got the biggest bonus in his IFA class, had that initial first good year. He hasn't hit in basically 2+ years. He's never hit out of A ball. And I think he's a guy who the defense is excellent. Like, it's really good, but he has injury issues at catcher, and he might not be able to hit at all. I think he's, as an asset, he's not someone I would be, using my best trade chip to acquire. And I understand Dylan Cease is the concept of Dylan Cease is very good.
Sure.
Have you looked at his season this year? It's so weird. Like,
what about it?
He's got like a 4.5 ERA, 1.3 WHIP in 113 innings. He's 3-10, and it's because his fastball is just fallen off a cliff. Like, last year, it was a slightly above average pitch. This year, it's a well below average pitch.
Oh,
it's in
the
27th percentile for run value.
Yeah,
and he basically,
even though the velo is still there.
Yeah, it's a ton of strikeouts, but it's also, and there's definitely some unlucky aspects. But he walks a lot of guys, and he gives up a ton of hard contact. And I don't know. To me, like, I like Dylan Cease, and he'd be someone I'd be interested in the offseason. But I don't know if I would want to, if I'm not trading Jarren Duran for a package that he's the best player in it. Like, if it was like Dylan Cease and Leo DeVries, different story. But sure. I just don't think Ethan Salas is a player that I would be that interested in right now. And I don't know. I understand he's a catcher and that there is inherent value in catcher, but he's not going to help you this year with catcher or next year probably. So he's multiple years away. And I just think there's serious questions with the bat that I don't think he's as good a prospect as like his prospect ranking would indicate. And so, yeah, I completely understand why they turned that down.
Yeah. And apparently turned it down immediately. Didn't even think about it.
Well, because this is the thing that's tricky about Duran is that he's not performing on the field like he did last year, but there are going to be teams that can talk themselves into what he did last year, which I honestly think might be a case for trading him. Kind of what we're talking about, where at the deadline you can get a premium. You're probably going to get more for him in a trade right now than you could in the offseason. But the thing is, the problem is, though, that you're limiting yourself to contending teams right now.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know that that's true.
It's hard to make a deal with a contending team where you're getting back an MLB piece that can be a strong contributor to you who has control, because if they have that type of piece, a contending team probably doesn't want to deal them because they're using them also. So it's like, that's the problem with the fit right now, even if you could probably get more now than maybe you could in the offseason.
Well, that's why when we were hearing about Joe Ryan, I was like, oh my God, really? Like, it was just that. Yeah. That would be the dream. Too good to be true.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, I'll drive Duran, Like, I remember I did a radio hit at that time, and they were like, make a package for Joe Ryan, including Duran and not including Duran. And I was like, I really can't without Durant. I don't think Arias password plus gets it
No,
done.
it
If
doesn't.
I'm the Twins,
No.
like they hang the phone up doesn't get it done. Not you're close, but not quite.
The package without Durant is like totally Arias. They could pick anyone in the system, honestly. That's the package.
Other
Is
than the
hey,
big three, I think you're talking big
yeah.
three at
Well,
that
no,
point.
no, no. I think the package would have to be because I don't think they would trade any of the big three. Is
Well,
like,
no, I'm saying they wouldn't. That's the
oh
point.
yeah, it's hey, you can pick any four guys you want. Like, doesn't matter who.
Yeah,
That's the only way I think they're doing a Joe Ryan deal without Durant in it, or some
and I
sort
don't think
of.
it even. I don't even think that's enough if
It
you're
might not
pulling out
be.
the big three. Like they would want, and rightfully so.
Joe Ryan's so good.
Like Joe Ryan is a no question number two in Major League Baseball right now,
Yeah,
and that's a
he's one of the
rare.
top what
There
50
are not
pitchers in the
60
game.
guys that you can say that about. He's a
Is he?
top
Is he top 10?
40.
He might be top 10.
No, no, can't
I
be.
I don't know.
Now I'm
Let's look at
curious.
I'm looking at Eno's SP ranks. See what he says. All right, here are his SP ranks. He has Joe Ryan currently. This is like stuff plus, and it's technically for fantasy, but I think the premise it can be used for this because it incorporates things like stuff plus. He has Joe Ryan 13th, so yeah, just outside of the top 10.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, he does give up a lot of barrels, but the K percentage is awesome. The
I mean
walk
it's an elite
percentage is even
fastball.
better.
Also, it's the fastball's so good.
Yeah, it's not velocity wise, but it's
It's shape.
run value 99th percentile.
It's a shape pitch,
It's
and
tasty.
that's
Yeah.
it's good extension, and it's just a
Well, and it's
very
like
good fastball.
I can't even tell you who I talked to, but I remember talking to someone. Was it someone in camp maybe who was like, yeah, it's like the Rays didn't know what to do with Joe Ryan's fastball, but they traded him to Minnesota and they figured out what to do with him. Right? Oh, I think I know what conversation that was. But yeah, it's just, it's not a typical pitch, but it works. Yeah. I mean, think about that. If the Red Sox had Joe Ryan, would you be okay with Franklin Arias leading the package coming back? I wouldn't.
No, I'd be furious.
I'd be pissed, especially when you're trying to contend. Although they're still like four teams back.
They're 4 games back of the Red Sox right now.
Yeah, but they're also like four teams back too. I think.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, this is the other issue is that there's just not that many true sellers
five
yet.
Teams back. They're 4 games back, but they're tied with the Royals and behind three other teams. Which, by the way, the Rangers have clawed back into this.
Yeah. They've won. I think they've won like 8 of 10 or something.
Yeah,
yeah. You look at the standings. In the American League, there's 3 no doubt sellers: Baltimore, the Athletics, and the White Sox. In the National League, there's 3.5: Colorado, Washington, Pittsburgh, and then maybe Atlanta, and then Arizona.
Atlanta should. They're 10 back, man.
Atlanta should, but I mean, Atlanta could be. They're Atlanta, like they were not supposed to be this bad, so I could see them, maybe trying to think they can get hot late or something. Miami sneakily has like been one of the best teams in baseball in July. And they're only 5 games back now. And Arizona's on the path to selling, but they're only 4 games back. So it's like there's just not that many teams to buy from right now. And that's why, you end up in a situation where it might be best to kind of like jump into the market early, but so far the Red Sox have not.
Well, and that's why you buy,
sell, yeah.
And that's the buy and sell strategy too. Is it's like if there are not a lot of names out there, and that's the argument for trading Aroldis Chapman, which seems like it's not going to happen. And I get why. I get the argument for trading him completely.
Yeah,
but realistically, like when you're a team that also needs bullpen help,
it's one of those things that I think in baseball terms, in terms of like value and long-term projections and everything, trading him is a no-brainer, like 100% the right move. Yes. But in terms of we want to win this season, it's very difficult to justify it in that regard. And I think that's the problem Boston finds is they wanted to win this season. Clearly ownership thinks they can win. I think it was Pete Abraham talked about it on 310 to left that he's heard that ownership is pushing the front office to make moves to make the team better because they want to make the playoffs because they haven't made the playoffs in 3 years. So it's there's pressure on this team to win. And if you, as much as trading Aroldis Chapman is probably the right baseball move in terms of what this team is trying to accomplish this year, it goes against that goal unless you're getting back like another big league relief arm that can help you this year. But then if you're the other team, what's the point of that? So it's just right. It gets tricky with that regard.
You would need to be making multiple other trades for relief help. that the Chapman trade, like you're rearranging deck chairs at that point
Right, because it's
because
like Chapman would be the best reliever out there, but then it's, oh well, we need to go get Ryan Helsley now, who, we give up, we get $1 for Chapman, and then we go trade 85 cents of it
$0.75.
for Ryan Helsley. Is
Sure.
that worth it rather than just keeping Chapman and not
If that's
disrupting
what even
things?
happens.
But you
If
see what I'm
that's what
saying?
even
Like that
happens.
that
Yeah.
idea, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, just to quickly put the button on the second base issue, no second baseman on the top 50 list that Kylie and Jeff Passan put out on
No,
ESPN.
there's one.
There is.
Willie Castro.
Oh, I didn't think. Okay.
He's a utility guy, but he can
Okay.
play second.
I mean, the interesting thing that I had, but he's not a rental, is like Nolan Arenado. Could he fake it at second?
No, he's not athletic
And
enough.
I don't think so. And it's like you're with the way that Bregman is right now, you're not doing that. And plus, he's
No.
not a rental, so it doesn't make sense. But
No, it was interesting. The lack of middle infielders on
there's nothing.
the trade list was stark.
And that's why you do the Rafaela thing instead of faking it with David Hamilton for a week and a half.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I think
go ahead.
but I think that would make it less likely to see a Durant trade then. Is because it's
That's
like
exactly it.
now
That's
with Meyer off the table for an unknown amount of time.
Especially with wrists. Like
yeah. And even if he comes
Meyer's
back,
history aside, which by the way, I did poll Ian. So that 2022 season. So he injured the wrist, missed basically 2 full weeks, came back and DH'd on a Tuesday, missed the next 4, played
4
shortstop.
days or 4 weeks?
4 days.
4 days.
Missed the next 4 days. Sorry. Yeah, missed the next 4 days. Played shortstop 3 times on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Went back on the IL for the rest of that week and most of the next week, and then came back and was fine. But like,
so that's basically a month.
And he like tried to play through it.
And that's the worst thing that could happen is him trying to play through this.
Yeah, and it's different than like, Alex Bregman, MLB veteran, managing his, what was the quad, right?
It's a quad injury, yeah.
Managing the quad at 80%, like don't run it out. Fine. Like you're MLB all-star Alex Bregman, and you're smart enough to be able to manage this. Meyer is a rookie wanting to impress. Like, I want him healthy before he comes back. I want him ready to go. So,
especially with him struggling at the plate like he kind of has been.
You can't half swing the way you can half run. No, right? Like
exactly. If you're and I think with him, right now his best traits right now like are bat speed and his ability when he does connect it it's really hard. It goes a long way, and we've seen what wrist injuries can do to power and your ability to swing the bat. So it's definitely
Nomar
a concern.
Garciaparra, Xander Bogaerts, like just the shortstops alone that come to mind, right? So yeah, we'll see what they do with that. We've talked about. Ian, I think they need to come out of this with at least one with some bodies in the bullpen.
Well, so do you want to just say rank what would you be your priorities if you're the Red Sox?
Sure. And so let's see the universe of positions that are on the table is starting pitching, relief pitching, first base, and backup catcher. And I think we talked about second base, but
it doesn't seem like there's a great option, but maybe you get creative.
I think second base you take off the table because it's just I don't know who you're trading for.
Yeah.
As I would put it's funny. I don't think first base is the top priority. I also would be I also think it's the easiest position for them to deal with because I think it's the perfect spot for a rental. Because I don't necessarily want someone who's going to fill that spot next year. I'd rather pay the lighter price for the rental. So I think that almost kind of gooses first base up a little bit because, like, look, Josh Naylor would have been nice. He's gone. Ryan O'Hearn makes a lot of sense. I've seen people saying Nathaniel Lowe, but he's under control next year too. I don't know how I feel about him. I think O'Hearn just makes a ton of sense. I would love to, if the price isn't crazy, O'Hearn. But anyway, I think it's so easy that it almost pushes it up further. How do you feel about how much they need a starting pitcher at this point with what you've seen out of Bayo, Giolito, and Buehler lately?
I think the issue with starting pitcher to me is that they just don't have really a 6 starter unless you're ready to put Kyle Harrison into the rotation. And I watched Kyle Harrison's last start, and it was his best of his Red Sox career. And there were definitely some pretty big changes. He is now throwing, it looks like a split change. It's definitely a different grip than he was using earlier in the season. If you look at the spin rate, he was usually around like 2,000 RPMs. Now it's down to 1,300. There's less horizontal movement, but more vertical movement. So it looks more like splitterish. And when you're trending down to lower spin rate with an off speed pitch, it's usually trending more towards a splitter. Like good splitters will be, 1,000 or under, maybe 1,200 at most. His is around 13, which is why I think it might be a split change.
Sure, that makes sense.
But he's definitely made some pretty big changes, no pun intended, there. In addition to with his cutter, which is still coming along. And his last start, as I said, was his best one. It was against the Minnesota affiliate, which actually had some pretty good players in the lineup. They had like Luke Keisha was rehabbing there. Mm-hmm. They had a couple other ex-MLB guys in the lineup. I think Ryan Fitzgerald might have been in the lineup.
Is it still Rochester?
No, they're St. Paul's or Twin Cities or something.
Oh, St. Paul. That's right. Yeah, the St. Paul Saints. That's right.
Yeah, but he was 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 86 pitches, 61 strikes, which is very encouraging to me because his strike rate had been a little lower. That was something that you've kind of been up and down, I would say. But yeah, the changeup movement profile, everything about it is very different now. That we talked about the cutter before. The breaking ball is still, I think, a little inconsistent. Just looking, kind of like watching it and looking at the the movement graphs. It's not a very tight cluster, but fastball cluster was really tight. Fastball looked good, and I just, if he can get that changeup up to like a playable level, he becomes pretty interesting. But I don't know if you want to rush him to the majors. This is, as I talked about, I think on the last episode with Harrison, it's more of a longer term play. But right now, because of the injuries, and I think we haven't recorded since Tanner Houck was officially not called back, or we have, but we didn't talk.
We have, but we haven't talked about it, and I have thoughts. But
yeah, but we'll basically like he's the 6th starter now, unless they go out and get someone. So
it's either him or Criswell. Like,
yeah, but I'm not trusting Cooper Criswell. Right. Yeah, I'm not trusting Cooper Criswell, and in a competitive window team. So Criswell's fine if he's your 7th or 8th depth starter, like break glass in case of emergency guy, or you have a doubleheader and you need a long man to come up. But I don't want him in the rotation for any considerable length of time. So yeah, I mean it's definitely concerning given Giolito has had his struggles in the second half in his first two starts. Bueller's been good this month, but who knows with him? Fitz has had a couple of rough starts. So yeah, I think I would put rotation and first base is the 2 biggest needs. But the tricky thing is, as you said, first base is going to be so much easier to acquire than a rotation help.
Yeah, first base, I think the first base is put it this way. I won't be horribly surprised. I won't be shocked if they don't come away with a starting pitcher at the trade deadline because of the price. I could see a situation where the price is just more than they're willing to pay, and they want to roll the dice with what they have. Maybe they're ready to break glass and, go, okay, Kyle Harrison, your time's now.
I mean, if he has another couple of starts like that one, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I just, given the level of changes they're making, giving him basically a completely new changeup, a new pitch entirely or more or less entirely that he's barely thrown, and we're 4 starts in and he's making progress. I just don't know if I would want to disrupt that because at the end of the day, the Red Sox, they view him, they think he's someone who could pitch in the top half of a rotation, and is rushing him back to the majors, helping accomplish that goal. I'm not sure.
Is it rushing him though? I mean,
I just think when you're revamping an arsenal like this, it takes time. And
sure,
I'm sure like maybe there'd be good starts and bad starts, but I don't know. I just think this is more like a longer term play than I would want to rush him. So
yeah,
but I think the first base thing is a problem. Like Abraham Toro, the team is all it's one of these things that during the stretch when they were winning, no one noticed because you won 10 games in a row. Other guys are hitting. When the team is struggling, I have the splits up. Okay. It becomes noticeable. And in his last 31 games, so basically a month's worth of at bats, Abraham Toro is hitting 212, 295, 353, good for a 547 OPS. He has no home runs. He has 4 doubles and 9 walks, 19 strikeouts, but he's basically given you nothing for the last month. And
Oh, dude, I mean, just do it from July the 8th, and it's only 10 games, but he's got a sub 400 OPS.
Yeah, and this is, but I'm looking from June 13th.
No, I
So
know. I was
like,
saying yours is more of a time frame where you can actually evaluate, but it's like it's getting worse. It's not
yeah,
like he's pulling out of it.
he adds nothing at the plate
He's
right
turning
now. And
back
as I
into a
said,
pumpkin.
it's one of these things that you can hide when the other guys are hitting. But if Rafael is not hitting, if Yoshida, who's not really hit at all since he came back, if when Bregman's taking his time to get back in the lineup, Anthony's going to have his ups and downs. First base against righties now is basically just a black hole, and that just they don't have the depth in the lineup to withstand that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And that's why I was a little surprised they weren't more interested in Josh Naylor, because I didn't think that price was very much. Naylor got traded to the Mariners for two pitching prospects. Neither of them were in the Mariners top 10. And now this is the PSA about the deadline. Just because the guys aren't in like a Mariners top 10 publicly doesn't mean that the Diamondbacks didn't view them as top 10 prospects,
sure.
which is why it makes it hard to do, an apples to apples comparison with pitching prospects in the Red Sox system.
That's the question we always get. Is like, well, what would the equivalent have been? It's like, well, I don't know how they view these guys, and I've literally never heard of them before today. So like, I can't give you that.
Because like, and here's a good example is like looking at the Red Sox system. There are teams I know if you talk to them, they might have Yoiker Fajardo in the top 10 of the Red Sox system in terms of prospects. There are other teams that might not have him in the top 30.
I spoke to a scout earlier in the year who had Brooks Brannon in like the top 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me?
Like, that's the thing is you just have no idea what teams' internal pref lists look like. Yes. And that's why it makes it so hard to judge these trades, because, they could have wanted that from the Mariners, but maybe they valued, they wanted, Juan Valera and Justinson Garcia from the Red Sox. We just don't know. So it's like,
or they just didn't see anyone they liked. It's possible they're we value Naylor for this, So we really like Tolley, but we know you're not giving us Tolley, or.
Yeah, and Alex Spear said the Red Sox weren't that engaged with him, or they had initial discussions.
Very
but
surprising.
That is a little surprising to me, because
I just loved Naylor on this.
I think Naylor fit really well. I think O'Hearn fits well.
I think O'Hearn fits well.
Nate Lowe as a player, but
I got asked on socials about like the trading in the division thing, and I think the trading in the division narrative is so overblown, and like I've fed into this, like I'm just as guilty as anyone else. But if the Red Sox are going to give the Orioles the best trade package that they're getting offered, they're not going to like put the screws to them to get more just to spite them because they're in the same division.
Yeah, I mean, look no further than the offseason. The Red Sox and the Yankees made a trade this offseason where the Red Sox got an everyday catcher and the Yankees got a pitching prospect who's, solid. He's I like Elmer.
They're pretty good this year.
Yeah.
But and I mean, look, the Red Sox and Orioles in the past made the Andrew Miller for Eduardo Rodriguez trade. Like,
they made a bunch of trades.
They've made a ton of trades. The Red Sox and Yankees have made more trades than people realize. Like,
yeah, so
teams don't care.
Richard Fitz, that was Red Sox Yankees trade. Like,
yeah, I mean, look, it's different when it's, and I think the last time we mentioned this is like Rafael Devers. That's a little different because you don't want that guy coming back to your park 10 times a year, right? Like, that's not a great look. It's different when we're talking trade deadline rentals for a guy in A ball.
Well, especially if you're a team like the Orioles, you're out of contention. If Ryan O'Hearn comes back and it's 3 home runs against them in September, they're not making the playoffs anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And then he's a free agent, so who cares?
Yeah,
right.
So
yeah, I think they need to go get O'Hearn at this point, because I mean, what's the line at which you're not willing to pay for that rental? Like, probably are there 45s on our list that you'd be willing to give up for that rental?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade anyone for a rental like him.
Like, would you trade Mikey Romero for him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a 45 on our list.
The guys I wouldn't trade, it's for a rental first baseman like O'Hearn would be obviously the big 3. Then Tolley, Arias, Perales, Justinson, Clark, Valera. After that,
would you do Sandlin?
That one I'd think about, but I think that's the level.
Sandlin early is the, like, I got to get back to you tomorrow tier, right?
Sandlin early, Tibbs, Romero is like that level is where I think you'd start the discussions.
Yeah, and you hope to push them lower and be like,
yeah, you hope that you can convince them to take like
Ndiazacar,
Jettix and Paez and someone else. But yeah,
well, that's the other thing too, is like, Jetix, although I say that Jetix and Paez isn't getting traded, but like Aldo Ramirez is what got you Kyle Schwarber. So like,
Yeah, no, I don't think you could say
right?
that.
Like, and he literally almost
Especially
literally
because
didn't pitch again.
it's not an arm injury. So with Baez, so
Oh, that's true because it's the calf. Yeah.
yeah, so I could
Yeah,
see.
I just it's yeah. I mean, and maybe Schwarber is kind of the trade you look at, right?
Hmm.
Like, and Schwarber was on the IL at the time too. I keep always forget about it. Took him a couple weeks to come back, but that was a top 10 guy in their system at the time, which was down in 2021. It wasn't the peak of the system, that's for sure. But
Hmm. Yeah,
that comp is probably Valera, right? Like,
Aldo Ramirez at the time.
yeah,
Mm, no, because the
Valera
system
throws
wasn't as good.
harder.
No, the system wasn't as good though.
Yeah. So
I
is
think
what is it more like
Paez is the comp.
Paez?
Paez is the comp.
Yeah. And teams like Paez.
Yeah,
It's just he hasn't pitched for like 3 months. Is the problem. Again, it's
yeah.
not an arm injury, but like,
Well, but I mean, you can say the same thing about Valera. Like he hasn't pitched in his
oh no, no,
arm
no.
injury.
That's
So,
it's the same point for sure, for
but
sure.
I think that with pitching, I'm fine getting a rental first baseman. If I'm getting a starter, I probably want someone with control. I don't think I
I
want a
don't want a
rental
rental starter.
starter.
I don't want Merrill Kelly. Is Merrill Kelly? I know Gallen's a rental, and I'm very out on Zach Gallen.
I'd rather have Kelly than Gallen. It's not close.
Gallen, I think people like Gallen is a very different pitcher now than he was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Trust me, as a Zach Gallen fantasy owner, uh, it hasn't been pretty this year. That is not a guy I'm giving up much for. Now, look, if Jesus Travieso gets me Zach Gallen, okay, maybe like or even like less. If flipping Jose Bayo gets me Zach Gallen, okay, cool. Like, yeah, we can do that.
See, I'd rather
But
have Kelly from that team.
oh, I'd rather have Kelly too. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Is Kelly also a rental?
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, for sure. Um,
But like I think like the names that we've heard bandied about, obviously Joe Ryan's the dream. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Chris
Um,
Bubich,
but yeah, Chris Bubich, Sandy Alcantara,
Edward
uh,
Cabrera.
Mitch Keller, Edward Cabrera. I think that's if you're going for someone with control. Maybe Taj Bradley, who just got demoted though, so that'd be kind of like a reclamation a little bit. Um, like I think that's the group I would be shopping in because I think you can get those. I think those guys would be acquirable without giving up
The farm.
the farm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good way
And
to put it.
literally
But
and
yeah,
figuratively.
yeah. But and I think you can do both. That's the thing. And I don't know if you're
What do you
gonna
mean? Both
buy
what?
that and a first baseman, and if you're and
Oh, they
my
have
thing
to.
is if you're
Yeah.
gonna buy, I think you have to commit to it. Like there needs to be a starting pitcher, there needs to be a first baseman, there needs to be a reliever at a minimum. Catcher is tricky. I don't really. Connor Wong has been, I mean, just terrible this year
Yeah.
offensively.
Which, by
But
the way, Chris Cotillo, great guy, he does an awesome job. I completely disagree with his idea that he threw out there of like Connor Wong is exactly the kind of guy that we'd be looking at as a reclamation project. Like if the Red Sox traded for Connor Wong, I'd be furious if they gave up anything other than like a DSL flyer that like
well,
was a 10 grand guy.
but I think the point he was just trying to make is that it's a backup
You're not getting
catcher.
anyone good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a backup catcher. You're not getting anyone good. Like, so
I
it's
mean, what did they give up for Danny Jansen last year?
Edinson, Paulinho, Cutter Coffee, and there was a third piece that
Was there really?
yeah, there was a third piece, and I can't remember who it was, and it's going to bother me, so I need to look now.
I'll pull it up. You keep talking. You make your point.
But like I think that I would. It was Gilberto Batista. That's who I couldn't remember. They need the right-handed pitcher. I think at the minimum you need to come away with three.
They did give up those three.
At a minimum, you need to come away with three players, and that's the thing that I like. That to me is the bar for this deadline because I don't see the point if you're gonna buy. I don't really see the point in just going like half in because as we've seen over and over again, if all you got to do is get to the playoffs, then weird stuff can happen. And is this team, especially if you can add like a number 3 starter, is this team good enough that you can do, if your pitching gets hot, you can go on a run like the Diamondbacks did a couple years ago? I think so, yes. And yes, they've struggled against really good pitching this last week, but you're telling me, by the time the playoffs come around, Rowan Anthony's going to have a lot more experience under his belt. Bregman's going to be healthier. Like I think the lineup will be better by then. And so I just I would like to see them if they're going to buy. It's got to be aggressive. It needs to be like the prices for what we saw for Naylor or even Ryan McMahon, who I don't really like Ryan McMahon as a player.
No.
I don't think he's a good. He wouldn't fit on this team.
No.
But they didn't give up much. Like it was two lower level arms who are whatever.
He's played some second. He might have been
he can't hit outside of courts though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But like I would if that's the price where you're paying for kind of lower end position players, 700 to 750 OPS guys, or in Naylor's case, an 800 OPS guy. I don't think there's any reason not to go out and get someone to play first base and then also still have the chips to go get a starting pitcher, ideally with a year or two of control and a reliever.
I think I would, to get back to your question, in order of importance, I would probably rank reliable starting pitcher number one. Reliable isn't like a guy you could count on to be like 5 to 6 innings, 2 to 3 runs, pretty much every start.
You want like what Brian Bayo's given you for the last
exactly. Month. I would put that number one. I would put high end, like high leverage reliever number two, because it doesn't look like Hicks is going to turn into that as much as they're trying to make him that. I would put first base 3. I think in terms of likelihood, I would put first base 1 because it's such an easier spot to fill. I would put middle innings relief pitcher who they think they might be able to tweak, like the Jorge Alcala type of, like maybe a better version, rich man's Jorge Alcala of like, this guy's not a setup guy now, but we think if we tweak 3 things, he's going to pitch in the 8th for us.
Well, it's like what they did last year. You want Lucas Sims, Luis Garcia, but
that's the kind of guy I mean.
But yes. The good versions, not
good version. Yeah, not what they wound up being, but what they could have been coming in. And then some kind of starting pitcher third, just because like the fit and the likelihood of lining up on a trade like that. It's funny, we haven't like for the relief market. It's kind of I completely missed Felix Bautista going on the IL yesterday with the shoulder issue. That affects the market. Like you kind of wonder, like, did they talk with the Cardinals enough this offseason during the Arenado trade talks that there's a fit on Helsley? Like, would you trade Blaze Jordan for Ryan Helsley?
Yeah, but I don't think the Cardinals are doing that.
Well, I mean, Jordan was apparently in an Arenado deal, although that was about getting rid of the money.
Yeah.
I think there's what I would love to see them do and what they need versus what's likely. And I think folks who think going quote unquote all in means they're going to come away with that number 2 starting pitcher, guy who sets up Aroldis Chapman, and the first baseman all coming in are likely to be disappointed. I think if they get one of those, if they get 2 of those things, I'll be happy because I think that's what you can realistically hope for. If they get 3 of them, I'll be through the moon.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that the prices we've seen so far are just not prohibitive, and
true,
especially given it seems like, I mean, you look at what's been traded so far. All 3 trades are all pitchers.
But well, no. Oh, you mean coming back? You mean coming back? Got it.
Okay. Josh Naylor got traded for 2 pitchers, 2 minor league pitchers.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
Gregory Soto, 2 minor league pitchers, and Ryan McMahon, 2 minor league pitchers. Red Sox have a ton of minor league pitching in that area, and they just drafted 15 more pitchers. So we
can't figure out where to put them on the projections page for next year.
They are in a position to trade pitching depth. They also have a bunch of 40-man guys that they got to figure out pitching discussions, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay, yeah.
But
I'll pull that up.
They have enough of that depth in those middle tier pitching arms that I think they could get this stuff done. It's just a matter of, are they, what is the goal here? How much buy-in are you giving with this team? What do you think the upside is? And, are you going after guys at the top of the trade deadline list pitching wise, like Keller, Bubic, etc., or are you looking, are you going further down and just looking at like more rentally types like a Luis Severino or something? I think that's the big question here.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk the Rule 5 guys real quick? Because that's always an area that
Well, yeah, because I just think you look at what they did at the deadline last year. They traded a bunch of guys who were Rule 5 eligible. And
I think they had more of a glut last year, though.
Yeah. Well, I think injuries have thinned it out this year.
Sure. But if you look, so as far as Rule 5 guys, players who stick out to me looking at the list, and this is in alphabetical order. Miguel Blaise, very interesting. I don't know if he gets picked, but an interesting guy. Alan Castro, I don't think is any danger of getting picked. Noah Dean, I don't think is any danger of getting picked. Shane Drowan being injured is fascinating because he was starting to come back. And this would be, I forget, do they still have the rule the second time you get picked in Rule 5, you don't get offered back or something? I can't remember. But there's Drowan.
I don't know the answer to that.
Nathan Hickey's not getting picked. He's not getting protected. Alex Hoppy, I think, is a guy who you leave unprotected, but he's kind of in that. Well,
I don't think it's crazy to see him get picked, but I think it's unlikely.
Yep. Blaze Jordan is fascinating to me. Right, mostly first baseman, although he's getting a ton of run at third right now, mostly because they need first base for Campbell. It's a profile that you don't see get picked.
He also was unprotected last year and didn't get picked. Granted, he's better now than he was last year.
He's had a much better year. He's cleaned things up.
He strikes me as like someone you put in a trade, kind of similar to what happened with Edinson Paulino last year. That type of player,
Matthew Lugo.
Around Matthew Lugo, guys in the back end of the team's low 20s who are a second, third piece in a trade for a rental.
Although Paulino was the number one guy in the Jansen trade.
Fair.
But that's for
still an overpay.
Yeah, but. Right. Yeah, Jordan, I think, is the guy on this list that sticks out most as like you make him someone else's problem. Going down, let's see. Yordani Monegro is a Tommy John guy, is fascinating from a Rule 5 perspective.
Picked.
Yeah,
he's going to get picked.
But he's also not someone anyone's trading for right now.
No, but it's like he's going to get the on-help a starter situation is probably going to happen with him again, where a team will take a shot, see what he looks like, and then you might get him. You probably get him back in a year plus.
Mm-hmm. Hayden Mullins.
Yeah. It's tricky.
Very tricky. A guy who I could easily see getting popped.
I think he would very likely get picked because the team would just play him in the bullpen. Lefties can't hit him, so he could just stick in the bullpen and be a lefty specialist at worst.
So he's a guy that could get moved. Paez being hurt all year. Enough teams love him analytically that I think he might get picked. I also don't think you can protect him because he's still so far away. I mean, he's barely pitched in high A at this point.
Yeah, and he still throws like 90.
Although he did get half the year last year. But yeah. Dalton Rogers, I'm not worried about. David Sandlin, I think, is an auto protect.
Yep.
And I don't think he's in a position where you move him because of the Rule 5 eligibility.
No,
you move him if a team wants him and you're getting someone good back.
You move him because he's like a key piece. You don't move him to create room or as for roster reasons.
Heck, I would not mind post deadline moving him into the bullpen and seeing how it looks, frankly.
But I would do the same with Mullins. I think Mullins to me, more than Sandlin even, is just, he's just so small. I just don't think there's any way he can start. But I think I would be fascinated what his stuff would look like in the bullpen role, just because you look at him this year, like he just doesn't give up hits. Yeah. He's given up in I think it's 33 hits all season in 61 innings, 77 strikeouts, 27 walks is too many, but he's given up 33 hits all season, like pitching as a starter. What is this guy going to look like in a 1-inning role?
Yeah, if he can throw strikes.
Yeah.
And not give up home runs, which the home runs haven't been as much of a problem this year, right?
It's only 5.
Okay. Yeah, because last year that was the other big thing for him was home
runs. I think part of that was Greenville, though. Like, that's a really good hitter's park.
Yeah, true, but
no, I just think with Mullins and Sandlin are two that I'm watching after the deadline because of the Rule 5
If they're still
status.
around, yeah.
If they're still around, I would be awfully tempted to throw them in the bullpen and see what it does. And the same applies to Peyton Tolle, who's not going to be he's not part of this discussion. But if there's an innings limit with him, I'd be very curious what he looks like in a 1 inning role just to try it out if you're kind of ramping him down from starting. Because I know like they've been doing some stuff like he threw only 60 pitches a couple starts ago. So it
Well, it's
seems like they're
funny.
kind of backing off a little bit.
I
And
was about to
then,
say that because someone made the point with Brandon Clark on our forum where he hasn't thrown more than 75 pitches in a start this year, and he's only thrown more than 60 or so, like once or twice.
well, that's partially
But
because he's not very efficient either.
well, true. Well, yeah, but you can get the pitch count up in 4 innings, right? Like the innings number is low.
He threw 35 in 1 inning last night
Well,
and got
that's the
yanked.
point, right? Like that's fair. But I guess the thing with Tolley is like when he was in Greenville, he was going 80 and 90 pitches. And in Portland, he has not done that. So it does seem like they're taking the pedal off the gas a little bit with him. So that goes to your point. And I guess a guy along those lines, two more guys I want to ask you about who are in Double A or higher are Tyler Uberstein, who's Rule 5 eligible, and Eduardo Rivera, who not only is Rule 5 eligible, but is a minor league free agent. Like, are those two guys that, Uberstein's in AAA? Like,
I think Uberstein has a very good shot to be picked just because teams would take a look. Like he throws strikes. It's a low ceiling, but there's solid pitchability there. And I think he could provide innings in like a Cooper Criswell role.
sure.
Rivera, the way he's pitched in Double A, I think is less likely, but because of the minor league free agent thing is a wild card because
You could re-sign him to a minor league deal. It doesn't have to be a major league deal. It's
you
just then he
could
would be Rule 5 eligible.
you could, but yeah, it almost is like better to protect him because you just don't have to worry about that stuff. But he also has not been very good since he got to Double A. And 4 starts there in Portland, 18 and 2/3 innings, 21 hits, 12 walks, 15 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting 782 OPS against him.
Yeah. The
And
shine is off a little bit on him.
well, I think it's more just the lack of command and control is caught up with him.
Yeah.
You can make mistakes if you're throwing in the mid 90s in Greenville and get away with it, but in Portland, their guys are good enough that they're going to hit that. And I think that's the issue with him is lack of consistency with secondaries, and then the inconsistent command and control is just kind of come back to bite him.
Jeremy Wu Yelland is an interesting guy who I don't think he's in any danger of getting protected, but
He could be picked if a
he
team
could be picked
he's
if a team
pretty
likes him
good
from the left side.
up to 97, decent cutter, breaking ball also. I think
Um,
he's been very good in Portland. I want to say, I'm checking right now.
He's been pretty good, at least. He's been good enough that we've like put him into the rankings, I believe.
Yeah, he's doing that weird thing where he's throwing 3 innings some of the time, which
Yeah, he did that last night, which was
don't
weird.
love. But
But he also only threw like 36 pitches in the 3 innings. So like,
yeah, it's different than like he had one where he threw in like the 40s. But yeah, 20 innings in Portland. This is the big thing: 4 walks, 27 strikeouts.
I mean, that's for him.
Well,
that was the bugaboo, was the walks, right?
Yep, he can never throw consistent strikes. And I think the thing that what makes him interesting to me is 522 OPS lefties against him. He's very difficult for lefties to hit. So, and those are the kind of things that matter when you're talking about Rule 5. Like if you're a lefty who can get lefties out, even if your stuff might not be as good or you're a little farther away, I think it makes teams more likely to take a chance. Similarly, in a trade, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if a team asked for him as a second or a third piece in a deal. It's kind of a throw in because if you like this stuff analytically and you see that your scouts, see the delivery and are like, yeah, lefties don't pick the ball up at all with him. He becomes kind of an interesting target.
There's one guy that I left for the end just to make people scream at their phone or
I saw you did that deliberately.
Yeah, 100% deliberately. I've been asked about Noah Song. His numbers in Portland are good. The back of the baseball card numbers are good. He got hit around, I think, his last appearance, but he's generally had success in Portland. He has reportedly been back up velocity-wise. I don't see a world where he gets protected. I don't know if he's someone teams are going to ask for.
Yeah. I mean, he's 28.
Yeah.
And fastball's like he's averaging over 94 miles an hour with it, which is good. The strike throwing is not there yet. He's got 11 walks and 21 and 2/3 innings, 23 strikeouts. We like opponents are hitting 197 against him, but I just don't think the stuff is at a level where he's someone that you'd be worried about it getting picked. But I mean, I would be surprised also if he did because it's a big name. But yeah, I think it's
It's not even big name, but it's like if you have some scout who's now a cross checker
who saw him and
who saw him in Lowell
yeah,
or at Premier 12 or something and has ears in the room and is like, look, just get him into camp and look at him. What the Phillies did with him was stupid. Like throwing him right on the mound coming out of military service. Like, and that's why he broke. Just give him a shot. And if it looks terrible, send him back. But at the same time, you can't take a 40-man spot up with him. You just
I
can't.
don't think so.
There's no way. I mean, and that's the thing you
No.
have to think about with like, well, they're going to get picked. Yeah, but do you want them to take up a 40-man spot all year? Like sometimes it's like, okay, Joe Nixon Garcia, you added to the 40-man because like he can play center field. You like the hit tool, you like the potential, and it paid off. But like, you can't do that with five guys, all of whom are like relievers, because then you have no room on your 40 for the major league roster. And then you have to put these guys through waivers, which is worse.
Well, it's basically you've lost a developmental spot with the
Yeah.
expansion of the active roster to 26, but no corresponding increase in the 40-man roster. And that's why I think the person who that's going to have the biggest impact this offseason is Miguel Bleis. I just,
Blaze is, yeah.
I don't think you can protect him or
I
put him
don't
on there
either.
because
He's
he's
been
not
like
close to ready.
he's
And
been like okay in Greenville. Like he's not been bad, but he's not been like he's not pushing double A for double A.
no, he's like, I was looking at his splits yesterday, and it's this month, it's just very like it's very hot and cold. He for the month he has a 709 OPS, but
738 on the year. Like
yeah, but for like he'll have stretches where he'll have multiple hits, or he'll have like a 4 or 5 game hitting streak, and then he'll go over 15 over 5 games. It's just there's no consistency there, and the walks, like there's still a lot of strikeouts. He's someone to me that if I'm the Red Sox, I'm trying to find like a team that is willing to take him in a deal.
well, the thing with Blaze and like the thing because this is the thing that we always heard. It's like, well, could a team stash him for a year? Teams don't stash hitters for a year on the major league roster.
Yeah,
You can maybe stash a reliever who can throw the sixth for you because
or
they have one major league pitch.
just
Team,
yeah, or just throw only when you're down by 5+ runs. Like
right. But like, because you need guys to do that anyway. You don't stash Blaze Jordan on the back of your bench for a year when you have 4 bench spots. It just doesn't work. A hitter has to be ready to contribute. And that's why it's just like these guys don't get protected anymore when they're hitters in high A. So I think Blaze goes unprotected.
I also though would like be trying to find like trading him to Colorado or something. Like find a
Sure.
team like the Rockies who are not competitive, who are interested, and try to get something for him.
Who might be stupid. Go ahead and
I
say
don't
it.
I don't think it's stupid to take a chance on the skills
It's
like
not
that.
stupid. It depends what you're getting back. No, that's fair. It's better than getting some like pitcher who's probably going to be a sixth inning guy, right? At least there's ceiling to Blaze.
Exactly. So like let's say the
That's
Rockies
fair.
called you and offered you Jake
Jake
Bird
Bird.
for him. Would you do that?
Yeah, sure. Probably. Let me double check on Jake Bird, but that doesn't sound. I'm not hanging the phone up, right?
Because
Like
it's a tricky one because I feel like if you looked at I would probably do that actually. Eh, his fastball is bad, but his secondaries are nasty.
405 ERA, 53 and a third innings, 62 Ks, 21 walks, 141 whip, 309 FIP. ERA plus is 116.
I mean,
He's
he's
been
got a
fine.
sweeper
He's been
though.
good. Huh?
He's got a sweeper though, and I do wonder. It's like get that guy out of cores. What does it look like?
Sure. Yeah. What's the home road split?
I don't have that up, but
Hold on.
I think that's the kind of deal. Like that's what I would be trying to do with the Red Sox is try to find someone to take Miguel Bleis off your hands so that you don't have to make that decision, or you don't have to worry about
He
that.
has been much better at home.
Really?
His OPS against on the road is 916.
That's not good.
His OPS at home is 542.
Oh wow.
He has been
Maybe a Rocky should
much
give him a
better at home.
lifetime contract. Then he's the only pitcher who can actually pitch there.
That's he's only given up 1 home run at Coors. And 2 doubles. Basically, the sample size is about the same. It's 117 plate appearances at home and 115 plate appearances on the road.
What?
He's given up 14 extra base hits on the road and 3 at home.
I don't understand these numbers you're telling me right
The strikeout
now.
numbers are much better. 38 Ks compared to 24. Walks a little worse on the road, but like not enough that that's wild. That's very funny.
So confused now.
That is very, very funny.
What's going on? Yeah, I think Jake Bird actually needs a lifetime contract in Colorado, so maybe he was a bad example. But
hey, by the way, so the Red Sox just released their lineup today, which is very clearly against a left-hander.
yeah,
Ref Snyder is in at DH. The outfield is Duran, Rafaela, Anthony, left to right. Gonzalez at second.
yeah, Toro first. Yeah, so
Toro
basically
first.
it's against
So
lefties.
that's exactly what we said.
Yeah, against lefties, Rafael will play the outfield. Against righties, he'll play second base.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And then it'll probably be Duran and Abreu will rotate through. One of those. Yeah. Duran, Abreu, Yoshida, two of those three will sit.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I think just looking at it, I agree with you. I don't think the Rule 5 issue is as much of one as there was last season.
No.
I think there are guys and that's largely due to injuries. Like if Drohan and Monegro are healthy, different story, I think. But because of the injuries there, I don't know how much you can count on those guys. Or
the only guy that comes onto my radar looking at that now is Hayden Mullins.
It's Mullins and Sandlin. Yeah, but I think they have room to add to protect two guys.
Well, they have to add Sandlin. They have to add. Keep in mind all the guys coming off the 60, they're going to have to add back. But
fair.
I mean, I guess it also depends on what else they do at the deadline. But like, what did we? I guess the number 2 behind Sandlin was Mullins.
Yeah,
because they've already added Meyer.
Yeah, and Meyer was the big one. Yeah, obviously,
because like we talked about Jordan. Yeah,
I think the other one,
a trade candidate. I think I could see them saying like, "Do you want Mullins to take up a 40-man spot for you?" Because they feel like Mullins isn't like notably better than all the other guys they have in that.
I do wonder if Mullins could fall into like kind of where the stuff is good, but it's at the end of the day, he's probably what, a 6th, 7th inning reliever. And if you don't think that's MLB depth next year, then maybe you just leave it unprotected, kind of like what happened. Or you trade him, kind of like what they did with Ryan Zefferjohn last year.
I think Zefferjohn's the comp there, right? It's like, well, but Zefferjohn was in AAA too, though. So it's not.
He was. Yeah, fair.
It wasn't a timeline thing. That was more of a like, you value him more than we do.
Yeah.
I will say correctly in hindsight, but maybe not. He also hasn't been as good as people like to think he was.
One name you didn't mention, who I think just worth mentioning on the radar, is Alan Castro.
I breezed over him, but
yeah, because like
he's been pretty good in
Portland, but like I don't know, seeing him,
his body has been stationed in center field defensively most of the time,
and seeing him, he just
doesn't that way very deliberately.
He doesn't really stand out, and it's weird because if you look, the surface numbers are actually pretty good. Except he still he just can't hit lefties really. Like his right hand swing is not good, and I know it's been mentioned to me by some people, not with the Red Sox, just other scouts would wonder what it would look like if he just gave up switch hitting. But I don't know. The EVs are good. I could see a team taking a shot at him at the deadline. I don't think he's someone you protect, but I just think his name is worth monitoring just because he's been pretty good the last couple of months or since he came back from that injury.
Yeah, the left-right split this year. It's kind of funny how much less he's faced. Well, I guess still. Yeah, he's just getting absolutely carved up by lefties.
Yeah.
528 OPS against lefties, 817 against righties.
And this is something that's been like
this isn't
multiple years. No, this is like questions about whether he should be a switch hitter have persisted for a few years now. I was just bringing up last year it was a 75 point it was almost 100 point OPS difference. But the biggest thing is it's just he has so much more power from the left side, Like last year, he had 14 home runs against righties. He had 1 home run against lefties. Difference.
Yeah.
Just
the OPS difference isn't going to be that stark because he got absolutely killed by AA when he got promoted.
Yeah.
Which is like a thing now that like you don't even hold against the guy because of how different the differences between levels.
Yeah. I forgot how bad he was when he got promoted.
He was awful when he got promoted.
Like, I don't think he homered. Oh no, he hit 1 home run after he got to AA.
So that skews the splits because the splits are bad both ways. Like
yeah, he was 180, 274, 230, 504 OPS last year.
If you're not hitting pitchers from either side, there's no split.
Exactly. But yeah, this year I think you're starting to see them again at a more like what kind of the level he is. But like it's a reserve profile at best. But he's just someone, if you buy the bat against righties, I could see a team maybe taking a shot there in a trade. And so I think he's someone worth mentioning on the radar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. It's for you, Jared. Yes. So that's kind of anything else on the trade deadline, Ian? I think that's more or less
No, I
everything.
just would like to see some trades because trades are fun.
Yeah, they are. They are. All right. Well, let's really quickly wrap up the Florida Complex League, which wrapped up play this week. Ian,
Yay.
it was not the Red Sox most stellar entry
What
on
was their
that
record this
circuit.
season?
What's that?
What was their record?
It
Like
wound up
20.
not being too bad.
I thought they were bad, like really bad at one point.
They were really bad to start the year. Like they started 0 and something. They wound up at, hold on. They wound up being 25 and 34. They weren't even last in their division. The Braves were worse, the 21 and 37. But they were 14 games back of the Twins, which is not great. But yeah, if you look at like the complex leagues always have some, I mean, even especially now, because for those who've listened to us and followed the minors for a long time, the complex leagues now are basically DSL North. They occur before the draft. It's guys either who were high schoolers drafted last year or the DSL grads from the year before, or guys who are repeating the level. So it really all depends on, did you have a good international free agent class last year? Did you draft really good high schoolers who you don't think are ready? I mean, the good high schoolers are going straight to Salem anyway, are going straight to
And
the
not
Carol
necessarily though.
K-ball
Like
anyway.
I don't think that's 100% true.
I
Guys
think,
like,
well, the reason Conrad Kaysen doesn't is because he's trying to play both ways. I think if
well,
he's
no, I
trying to,
wasn't talking about him. I was talking
okay.
about like just looking at other teams like Tyson Lewis, for example, he was like a supplemental first round pick, got a
Mm,
big bonus. He played the entire season in the AZL for the Reds. I think it's a team by team thing, depending
sure.
on how ready the player is. But the Red Sox don't draft high school hitters, so it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant for this exercise.
Unless they also pitch,
Fair.
or unless they're from Puerto Rico. So yeah, I mean the Red Sox were again 25 and 34. They kind of got it together a little bit near the end. Not a banner year for that club. If you look at the honestly, the best players from the Florida Complex League are guys who were not there the entire year. They had Justin Gonzalez who played one game before being promoted to Salem. They had Andy Azakar, who was basically there 3.5 weeks before getting promoted to Salem. They're just much more willing to push the guys who are good. And then on the pitching side, Yorker Fajardo got promoted out of there after I think 4 starts. Ian, those were the guys who would have stood out if they had kept everyone down there. For the guys who did play the whole year down there on the position player side, the 2 names we heard were George Rodriguez or Jorge Rodriguez and Anderson Fermin. Rodriguez is a catcher. Fermin is a center fielder. Those are the 2 guys the scouts came away interested in. Fermin just like walked a ton. Like it
Well,
wouldn't
he's
surprise me.
tiny.
He's tiny. Well, he's
Yeah.
tiny and he didn't chase basically.
Yeah. Well, no,
So
he's got a good approach. It's just there's just not a lot of impact.
yeah,
He can run a little bit. Like he does some things well, but I don't know how much projection there is there in the frame. And he ran a 377 slug in the complex league. Like that's it's tough with that
it's
profile
slap and dash at this
unless
point.
you're Chandler Simpson. It's tough to get to the majors with that profile.
It's slap and dash without the speed tool. Quite there, right?
I mean, he can run a little bit.
He
He had
can run a
25
little bit, but he's
steals,
not
but
Chandler
yeah,
Simpson being the point,
no.
right? Right. And then Rodriguez catch and throw with some interesting traits at the plate, right? But
Yeah.
oddly wasn't their primary catcher, which was very strange.
Yeah. He's a really good athlete and sub 1.9 pops. We put up reports for him and a few of the other pitchers we'll talk about in a second. So if you want more info, check out Sox Prospects because we have stuff on there about them. But
yeah, go to the scouting log to see the update at the top. There's a link for scouting log if you want to see what reports have been updated recently.
Yeah, he was Rodriguez was the guy who kind of when it first got put on my radar, I was like, "Oh, you mean Gerardo?" Like, because that was the guy who was playing every day. They're like, "No,
Unrelated.
not him. The other one." It's like, wait, what? There's
Very
another one.
strange.
Didn't
Yeah.
even know there was another one because he was not stateside for camp. So,
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
he was one of like the call ups after spring training ended. So, And this is, again, I know we say this over and over again, but why DSL stats are largely meaningless. This guy hit 258, 333, 280 in the DSL last year. Like,
another reason why he was not on our radar.
yeah, like this was not like a a standout performer in the DSL who came over late. This was a guy who was a nondescript. We thought probably just another body for catcher, but
well, he
over and
started
over
there
again,
last year, but again, like the numbers were kind of like, okay, whatever.
yeah, weird stuff happens with the DSL, so you can't just take it too seriously. The numbers, you just kind of got to wait till they come stateside and then see what you got there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very light position player crew overall, I
Yeah,
would say.
and both Rodriguez's finished the year not on the IL because they don't put guys on the short term IL there because there's no need to because there's no roster limit. But both Gerardo and Jorge Rodriguez finished the year in the apparently in the concussion protocol. We heard because they both got hit on back swings by the same player in the same game in the helmet, which is pretty wild.
Yikes. That's not great.
Yeah, so that's why like they had to send Diego Valoria down from Salem to like catch two of the last three games because the other two guys there were basically kind of bullpen catcher types.
Got more bats in those 3 games than he had all year with Salem.
I think he did, which is crazy.
I mean, he could catch
he
a throw
DH'd
guy.
the third game, I think.
Wait, I'm actually curious. Yeah, he did.
Oh my god.
He had 12 plate appearances in the FCL this year. He had 5.
5. Oh
yeah.
no.
Poor Diego.
More innings pitched in Salem, but
poor Diego.
It is what it is.
Life is a third catcher, not for the faint of heart.
It's a job. Yeah. Pitching side a little better. Interestingly, the kind of Dalvinson Reyes was the guy that we were most interested in coming into the year. He had a pretty down campaign, honestly.
Yeah, not great.
Had issues with control and command and control, to say it the way we usually do. I don't think he's going to go to Salem. Like I think they probably keep him in camp for the Bridge League.
No.
Which, by the way, so the Bridge League, because we're going to use that term, is basically when the FCL ends, teams down there informally play games. It's like extended spring training. For the Red Sox, it's going to start August the 11th. There are no stats. There's nothing publicly available. They're going to play the Twins 3 times a week.
Yeah, because the Orioles aren't fielding a team this year, or they're not playing games. So
yeah, so they're going to play the Twins 3 times a week,
and that goes until like mid-September, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think it's one of these things. It's so informal. I'm sure if you watch the games, which I don't even know if they're open to the public, I bet they're rolling innings. Like they're just, this is, some games will be 6 innings. Others will be 8 innings. Like
they'll be like, hey, we've only got 2 guys who can pitch today who have 5 innings between them. Okay. 5-inning game. Like,
yeah.
Or I bet they would probably even do like, well, we want to pitch 6 innings. Can your guys hit 6 innings? And they'll be like, fine. Like,
yeah, it's going to be very informal,
but the best pitchers who were down there, I mentioned Joyker Fajardo, who was the return for Cam Boozer in a trade that like the Red Sox made out wonderfully. The other pitcher who impressed the most was probably Jesus Travieso, who a guy, at least for the homegrown types. He was a $10,000 signing, these guys that they tend to find, who last year in the DSL, not terrible. I mean, he started all year, but 27 Ks and 21 and 2/3 innings to 10 walks. Like it was a fine line, but this year came in and looked pretty good in the FCL in 39 innings, had 52 Ks to 25 walks. So still too many walks, only 26 hits against. So the whip was still 131, which isn't great, but it's based on the walks. Nobody was really hitting him. Great K numbers. The other name that coming out of there, again, only got there late, but Jose Bayo, one of the guys they got in the Devers trade. Both Bayo and Fajardo were promoted to Salem when the season ended. So they're going to continue pitching immediately. They might.
Bayo and Travieso.
Oh, did I say Fajardo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Travieso and Bayo got promoted. They might pitch the Sunday game, it's looking like, because Luis Cohen was promoted from Salem to Greenville. And I think they moved Fajardo up from tomorrow to today so that Travieso, piggybacked by Bayo, can pitch tomorrow. So. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, some guys with decent numbers, but the FCL is.
It's a weak crop for the Red Sox this year.
Yeah, it's just not a great crop. There are some guys who had interesting numbers that I'm not really worrying too much about till we see them in Salem, honestly, or see them next year.
I would say on Travieso, just one thing I want to add is if you take out his first 2 starts, which weren't great, he only had 18 walks in 35 innings. He had 7 walks in those first 2 starts. But so from May 19th to July 21st, so 10 appearances, 35 and a third innings, 19 hits allowed, 5 earned runs, 18 walks, 48 strikeouts, opponent batting average 164 with a 233 slug. So he was very good, I would say, after those first two starts. Were there too many walks still? Yeah. I mean, he
effectively
had
wild might be the
3-3,
name.
3-4 in like, but he also had some zeros. His last start was very good. Only four and a third innings, or it might have been a relief appearance. Honestly, I don't know if it was a start. Yeah, it was a start actually. 4 and a third innings, 1 hit, no walks, 3 strikeouts. So it's up and down, but it's good stuff. Like he's up to 97, really quick arm. Like I think this is the type of guy that I think teams will be asked about at the deadline in the Ovis Portes, Jefferson Vargas mold. And
sure.
like the arm speed is really standout though. It's not Luis Perales level, but you know, it's on that tier below, which is still very quick and good athletes who throw hard already and have a really quick arm are an interesting profile. So he's someone I'm definitely keeping my eye on to see how he adjusts to Salem. Because if he can throw strikes, this is a guy I could see rising up the rankings or continuing to rise up the rankings.
Yep. So that's about it on the FCL. Should we get to emails now, Ian?
Yes.
All right. If you want to email us, send an email to podcast@soxprospects.com. We want to talk about what you all want to hear about. And why is this opening over here? I want it opening in a new window. Please open. There we go. All right. Our first email, Ian, if it would do me the honor of loading, is from John B. Who he mentioned, this is something we were just talking about. He says, ever since MLB increased the roster size from 25 to 26 players, you've made the point that the 40-man roster should have increased by one as well. I'm curious, if there was a 41-man roster, how do you think the Red Sox would use it if 40-man or 41-man roster slots were a little bit less precious? Would there be any more chance we'd see a Peyton Tolley type in the majors this year, i.e. a prospect they don't have to protect from Rule 5 in December? Or would the extra player slot just wind up being used on yet another fungible relief arm they could send back and forth to Worcester? It's a good question, Ian. I think the answer to that is unfortunately yes. that not yes, no question. I think it would just depend on what they need at a given time.
Yeah, I think teams would be more likely to take a chance because it doesn't sound like it's that much more flexibility, but it really is because you think about it, it's basically 14. What's 1 divided by 14? What 7% or something?
I'm sorry. Like,
in the sense.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like it's basically you can't think of it as part of the
40. You think of it as
you have to think about it as 14 or 15, sure. I guess in that case.
Yeah, 14 or 15 that's a good way to put it.
Because that's what it is. It's so
but that also includes like major leaguers on the 15-day IL, right? Or 10 to 15-day IL.
Exactly. So. And so you think, let's say there's 3 to 5 of those at all times, like you're really operating with 10 spots or less. So sure. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And I do think it would make teams more likely to do it. I
think it would too.
In a weird way, do we think it's just because 41 is just such a weird number for something like that?
No, the reason they didn't do it is because it would have been adding players to the union.
Oh, yep, good point.
That's why
it's another bigger salary too.
It's another salary you have to play. Yeah, I mean that's why it wasn't on the table. They increased it from 25 to 26 because they were like, yeah, sure, fine, we'll pay. I mean, look, it's one more. 25 to 26 was one more major league minimum salary.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, that's what it is.
Because and they were just like, you're not getting another 40-man spot too. And the thing is, in CBA negotiations, they don't care about things. The CBA negotiations, put it this way, are between the players and the owners. The GMs and player development guys and other front office people are not involved, which is why you don't get things addressed like, it would be great if you expanded the 40-man roster so that we can protect more guys in Rule 5 or have more flexibility and not have to DFA guys. So that's probably never going to be addressed. It's probably something they should have, but like it's never going to happen. But yeah, maybe you'd be more likely to take a chance on a Tolley type. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. Our next email, Ian, comes from Sean, who says, in looking at draft prospect write-ups from various sources, I was again reminded that I find sometimes exit velocity is attributed to a player's hit tool, and sometimes it's attributed to a player's power, depending on the publication. To me, it seems like exit velo should be a power tool thing, although I realize the harder you hit the ball, the more likely you are to get a base hit. So I guess my question is, how do these metrics like exit velocity, launch angle, in-zone whiff rate, chase rate, etc., match up with hit and power tool grades? Because they seem to be inconsistently attributed to one or another depending on the source. Thanks so much, Sean. A very interesting question, Ian. And to me, I think, like in zone whiff rate and chase rate, I think those pretty clearly line up with hit tool, but I guess it's more the exit velo type things that are the real thing to discuss here. How do you think of them? Do you think of them as a power thing or a hit tool thing or both?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about in zone with chase, things like that. I also think hard hit rate to me, which is a measure of how many of your batted balls are above 95 miles an hour. That to me is a hit tool thing, because if you're make as the emailer astutely said, if you make consistently hard contact, that does correlate with good batting average usually.
And I think it also tends to go more towards like barreling the ball versus how hard you're swinging the bat and how much strength you are hitting it with, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and so I think where good segue into, I think with like things like 90th percentile exit velocity and max EV, that leans more power. But I think it depends largely on a couple of other factors that weren't mentioned, things like launch angle, like air pull percentage, which we know the Red Sox are obviously big believers in. Things like that, I think, are more better indicators of the power side of the game. But just looking at the high end EVs can also be a part. But like, I think Roman Anthony is a great example of this. Compare what he's done so far versus what someone like Nick Kurtz has done. Nick Kurtz is in my mind because last night was one of the most insane things. I was watching that game on MLB TV because I think I've said this before. I love watching the A's. It's bad. Like, they're such a weird team, but I I really enjoy watching a lot of their offensive players, especially Tyler Soderstrom, also, who I would love to see on the Red Sox. But anyway, Nick Kurtz went 6 for 6 with 4 home runs, and he missed a fifth home run by like a foot. And if you look at his like, he puts up similar EVs to Roman. Him and Roman Anthony have similar EVs, like high end EVs. The difference is Nick Kurtz's are all optimal launch angles in like literally, it's arguably the most perfect EV launch angle breakdown you'll ever see. It's unbelievable. Everything is optimized. The difference between Roman Anthony is Roman Anthony hits a ton of ground balls. Something I think we talked about. Was it the last episode or was it 2 episodes ago
like
in an email?
2 episodes ago. Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the why launch like Roman Anthony hits the ball extremely hard, but he's not showing much power yet, and that's because of the launch angle aspect. And that's why I think that like it's still leading to good like his results. You know, he's hitting what 250-ish. Roman Anthony is. So the hit, it's helping the hit, but you need it for the power. But it's just that's one of those things that like there's other factors that go into the power. I don't think you can judge power solely off of like the high end EVs. It's a good indicator, but in order to tap into that, that's where things like the launch angle and stuff like that come into play.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Because look, like there are guys who, when you look at like exit velocity numbers for the organization, you are going to see like Albert Feliz when he was here, Brian Gonzalez, when he was here, not Sean, but Alex Benelis.
Yep.
Those guys would lead in exit velo numbers, but with Feliz, you're talking what, a 20 hit tool, maybe 30.
No, I was to say like a 10.
Right. So it's just like
he can't hit,
but that's where exit velo correlates directly to power, because when he hits the ball, he's hitting the absolute crap out of it. But then you would see guys who have good power, but their exit velocity numbers wouldn't be that good because they would make such bad contact because they had like good hit tools and they would expand the zone.
Yeah.
Right. So it tends to depend on the player, I think.
It's a very player specific thing. Like the just on that, the Roman Anthony, Nick Kurtz thing that I was talking about, like you look at like hard hit rate, Anthony's at 56.2%. Kurtz is at 54.4%. So Anthony has a higher hard hit rate than Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz has 23 home runs this year. Roman Anthony has 2. Like, right. Granted, Kurtz also has about
more. Yeah.
It's only 100 more at bats, 120 more plate appearances. But the difference is like launch angle sweet spot percentage. Roman Anthony 34.8%. Nick Kurtz 42.4% in the 98th percentile. Like it's little things like that. That's where optimizing that angles in order to tap into your power matter. So yeah, no, that was a really good question though.
Yep. Shout out to Sam for the Rule 5 question that we've already gotten to. We got a question from Brian who says, wondering if you have any intel on Connolly Early still being in Portland. He threw 36 innings last year and 71 2/3 so far this year. Is he being intentionally held back to accumulate stats for a trade, or is there something that he needs to work on in Portland before he gets promoted? Does he still have starter projection, or is he still struggling to hold his velo? Thanks, Brian. Interesting question, Brian. Appreciate it. A couple things there, Ian, that I would want to address. First of all, I think we're past the era where like you can make a guy that you don't gimmick numbers that way anymore, where you hold them back and they succeed. I think the way
No,
you gimmick
you
it,
gimmick it
honestly,
the
is
other way.
you promote them early so that
Yeah,
teams who are too driven by like models are like, oh, this guy's really young for the level. Don't worry about how he's performing.
yeah.
So it kind of goes the other direction. But as far as what he's working on, I kind of looked at the numbers, Ian. It was very interesting. If you look at his numbers from the end of June or sorry, beginning of June to the beginning of July, we don't have updated ones yet. His strike throwing is improving while his whiff rates are going down. So that seems to indicate to me that there's some work being done there on command and control and strike throwing it, at least in the short term, to the detriment of whiff rates and things
Well,
like that.
it also
But
could
I'm
be a
curious what you're
usage.
seeing.
It could be a
Sure,
usage shift too.
sure. So I'm
If he's
curious what you're
like,
seeing.
yeah, I saw him once in this stretch, and I think to me, the velocity thing is definitely something that I think they're working on with him.
Mhm.
Um, it comes and goes from some outings, like he'll still get up to 96, 97. Then other outings, like I saw him even get above like 94. And so I think that is they're trying to find more consistency with that. I think for the season, he's averaging what is it? Like just under 94, which is good for him. Definitely improvement over last year. But I think it's largely that number one, with when you're this close to the deadline, you just want to wait to see how the rosters sort themselves out before making any moves like that. Because like the last thing you want to do is promote him, and then all of a sudden you know, for whatever reason, let's say you get another AAA arm or something, you don't have room. You don't want to have to yo-yo a guy like him. So I think you kind of just wait to see how the rosters figure themselves out. With that. But I think what you're saying is they're still working on things. Like he's had the outings where he barely throws his fastball. He's had other ones where he's throwing it more. They're still working on that. I think it's just they're trying to find more consistency and continue to develop him. And I think they think the best spot for that right now is the Double A level.
All right, one more that I wanted to hit really quick, Ian. We got a question. This maybe goes into a more of a hey, remember that guy type of thing. But James sent in a question where he said, "Hey guys, I saw a post online that got me thinking about Rusney Castillo. So I went back to check his minor league career and see what it wound up looking like, and it was surprised to see that his production from 2017 to 2019 in Pawtucket was decent, a 304 average, but admittedly a little light on slugging and OPS for those years. Regardless, for a guy who seemed to have so much fanfare when he came stateside, why did he never get another shot in Boston or anywhere else for that matter after 2016? This was a bit more, this was a bit before I was following as closely as I do today, so I was hoping you guys would be able to speak on what you remember of the Rusney Castillo experience. The thing trying to explain Rusney Castillo's situation to someone now is he kind of got, he was strongly affected by a rule change that happened at a key point for him. So when Rusney Castillo came over, and I forget what the actual numbers are, I'm going to try and pull them up now. When he came over, he signed, here it is, yeah, a 7-year, $72.5 million contract with the Red Sox in 2014. However, based on his performance, he was DFA'd at one point, designated for assignment, cleared waivers, and outrighted to AAA. At the time that happened, if you outrighted a guy off of the major league roster, his salary came off of the books for things like the CBT. It wasn't the CBT at the time, but it, you know what you think of now is the competitive balance tax. Then it was, I think, luxury tax or whatever. That rule got changed the following offseason. So to call him back up would have essentially been the effect of re-signing him to this deal that he wasn't worth, that pretty much no one in the game thought he was worth. So while he was a pretty decent player, if he was coming up and getting the major league minimum, he absolutely would have got another shot. The problem was he had signed this deal, and I think I can say at this point, we've heard they did try and work out deals with him to be like, look, like rework your deal and we can call you up. And his position was no, like I signed this deal, I'm getting this money. And he was still getting the money to live in Pawtucket. Or actually, he lived in Boston the entire time he played for Pawtucket, which I remember reading about.
Well,
But
as he should though. Like
oh,
why?
100%.
I don't blame him for not wanting to give back the money that they agreed to pay him. Like
100,
that's
yeah,
a
I agree.
ridiculous ask in my opinion.
Oh, well, and I think it's one of these things where it's like, look, if you want to try and rework it in a way where I still get the money, but you like spread it out differently, maybe. But like, you know, if they were just kind of like, look, we're not calling you up unless we're paying you less. Do you want to try and rework your deal? And he's like, no, I'm going to stay in AAA. Thanks. And he stayed in AAA. And then by the time his deal was up and he became a free agent, I think it was just kind of at the point where no one was interested anymore. So that was the deal with Rusney Castillo. All right, I think that will do it, Ian. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you to our podcast producer, Daniel Fox. Thank you to the Ludlow Thieves for our intro and outro music, All the Money. Get their stuff wherever it is that you listen to music. Thank you to everyone who emailed in. Thank you to everyone who is supporting the Sox Prospects donation drive. You have less than a week left to get your contributions in, either on soxprospects.com/donate or patreon.com/soxprospects. And our next set of $5 level supporters that we want to name check on the show are David B., Al Mendel, Kevin Katrides, James Bailey, Brian Cowan, Andrew K., Michael Murphy, Pavel, Jordan Shabbat, and Mike Kawano. Thank you to those 10 individuals, as well as everyone who supports us, either in the drive or on Patreon. I cannot overstate how much we appreciate your support for what we're doing. On social media, follow the site at Sox Prospects. Follow Ian at Ian Cundall. That's IANCUNDALL. Follow me at SP Chris Hatfield. We will be back in your eardrums soon. We'll see when. We may try and hop on if something big happens. We may not be able to. We'll see. So we will be back in your ears soon. Keep your ears to the feed. Keep your eyes on socials, and we'll tell you what's going on there. So until we're back again, thanks for listening, everybody.